Show me how to get to know someone like you, someone like you. I want you to know me, 'cause I know then you'll see we could be true, we could be true. I want you to see what I see in us, something so real, something so real. I want you to see that this is a love that we both feel, that we both feel. And how will we ever know if the love will ever grow without trying, without trying? And how will we ever see if we are meant to be? It's terrifying, it's terrifying. It's a losing game, it's a losing game. But this time it's more than another love war. This ain't the same, this ain't the same. They say love heals all, it makes it all alright. In time, in time. My heart still feels the breaking, but you make my world so bright. Feels so right, it feels so right. And how will we ever feel that what we've got is real? There's no denying, there's no denying. And how will we ever see if we are meant to be? It's terrifying, it's terrifying. And how will we ever know if the love will ever grow without trying, without trying? And how will we ever see if we are meant to be? It's terrifying, it's terrifying. That we're meant to be. We're meant to be. That we're meant to be. We're meant to be.
Like stars that shine in darkness goes so bright. You once told me I'd have to dim my light. My mystic being held by gravity, I almost let shot my conscience, flew up to the sky. Are you still giving? But now I'd ask you why. Say I'm different, let your words run out. I'm not desperate for your approval now. Oh, me and my shadow learn to let go. Oh, burying my fears now, still in the power. Keep falling, falling, I keep falling, falling. It's gone, hanging on the edge. Now I come back like a
I've been chasing this all my life. Had my doubts, but a fire inside. Yeah, I followed my insanity once or twice, and I took a wrong way that turned out right. Ooh, couple hearts tied to a string. Ooh, when you find what's meant to be, can't make it stop, keep us apart. We're like two stars colliding. We ran until we lost ourselves to find our silver lining. You and me, we're tethered souls with no control of what can happen, but we keep catching destiny. Catching destiny. We keep catching destiny. Catching destiny. So let's pour a drink and we'll raise a glass. 'Cause the road is short and the time goes fast. I wanna live in every minute with you, make it last. Made mistakes we do that we won't take back. Ooh, couple hearts tied to a string. Ooh, when you find what's meant to be. Ooh, couple hearts tied to a string. Ooh, when you find what's meant to be, can't make it stop, keep us apart. We're like two stars colliding. We ran until we lost ourselves to find our silver lining. You and me, we tethered souls with no control of what can happen, but we keep catching destiny. Catching destiny. We keep catching destiny. Catching destiny. We keep catching destiny. Come a little closer. We can do it over. Remember when I told you we'd regret it when we're older? Come a little closer to me. Give me somewhere where we used to be. Come a little closer. We can do it over.
if I was forced to find one, it would only take some time. And I'm sure that it would be okay, yeah, it would be alright, but it won't be you. No, it won't be you. 'Cause they wouldn't care the way you do, with that innocence but passion too. No, I don't think they could ever replicate, no. And that crazy little voice you do, no one else would make me smile like you. Yeah, today I looked at you and then I knew that I would never find another you. That I would never find another you. That I would never find another you. Oh, the other day we asked each other about this very thing. What would it be like if we had never met? What would it bring? And it didn't take me long to tell you just what I would sing. Girl, that I need you. Yeah, that I need you. Yeah. 'Cause they wouldn't care the way you do, with that innocence but passion too. No, I don't think they could ever replicate, no. And that crazy little voice you do, no one else would make me smile like you. Yeah, today I looked at you and then I knew that I would never find another you. That I would never find another you. That I would never find another you. Washing you away in the rain. As October skies are gray, the puddles seem to fade, the memories evaporate, and I don't know what to say. And you notice I was focusing your gun, I was hopeless while you were smoking in the sun. And I don't know how to wait. All the problems, all the good, but also what's wrong. I was hoping I'd be enough for you all along, but I'm not sure that you'll stay. And I'm not sure that you'll stay. Oh, that you'll stay. I'm not sure that you'll stay. And I'm not sure that you'll stay. But I'm not sure that you'll stay. Stay.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, investors and fellow agents, good afternoon, good evening. I am truly delighted to stand before you today as I host this exclusive gathering where we bring together the best minds in real estate industry. My name is Elda Armenta, and I have the pleasure of serving as a real estate agent for the past 6 years. It has been an incredible journey, and I am profoundly fortunate to work alongside a remarkable community of investors and brokerage, Picket Realty, which is undoubtedly the most admired brokerage for those with an eye on the investment aspect of real estate. Over the years, my experience has taught me that success in real estate is a partnership, a collaborative venture between dedicated agents like myself and the visionary investors who trust us to make their dreams a reality. It's about finding the perfect match between properties and investors, creating a win-win situation, and fostering a community that thrives on sharing knowledge and growth. Our gathering today is a testament of the power of networking and the teamwork of like-minded individuals. I believe that the more we can learn from one another, the more successful we will become in this ever-evolving and dynamic industry. Whether you're a seasoned investor, entrepreneur, or a fellow agent, there's something here for everyone. Our aim is to inspire, educate, and ultimately empower you to make the most informed and profitable real estate decision. Today, we are here not just to learn and network, but to celebrate our shared passions for real estate and investments. I am confident that this gathering will be an invaluable experience for each one of us. So without further ado, I welcome you to this exclusive agent investor gathering, where we will explore the limited possibilities of real estate investment, expand our networks, and foster partnerships that will shape the futures of this industry. Welcome, thank you. Give me a second. How are y'all doing? Did y'all get a drink? Did y'all get some little food bites? Well, Alan, are you gonna stay back there? The Visionary Broker Alan Hernandez is the distinguished broker of Picket Realty and is set to captivate our imagination. We will still discover the groundbreaking strategies that define WPR's investor-oriented approach and prepare to redefine your investment game.
All right, awesome. Woo! What a drive to get here, right? Anybody else get stuck in traffic out there? Nice, nice. Same here, me too, don't worry. That's part of living in Houston, I think. And we're just lucky we don't live in LA, right? Because the traffic there is this bad at 2 a.m. in the morning as well. I see some people shaking their heads like, yeah, I've been there. I know. We have a lot to talk about today, and I only have 15 minutes. That's what Elda told me. So we're gonna move quick. And if I can have your attention all the way to the end, my promise to you is that you're going to get at least 4 golden nuggets that you can implement into your investment business today. 4 things that you can literally take and run with. So is everybody excited about that? Yeah. Very good, very good. Now, just so that I know who we're talking to, who here right now wants to be a landlord? Raise your hand. Who here is already a landlord? It's okay, I just need to know who I'm talking to here. Great. Who here knows that they should be a landlord no matter what? Everybody should raise their hand right there, okay? Who here is just not gonna raise their hand the whole time? All right, that's fair too, that's fine. Today we're gonna talk a little bit about the market and what that means for us when it comes to taking every opportunity that the market brings us. But I have a conversation to have with you guys first. Now, I see some real estate agents, I see some people that I recognize, some attorneys, some people that I don't recognize, and that's fine too. But I imagine that if you're here because you want to be, are in real estate, or you want to be involved some way or another. Am I right to shake your head so that I know whether? All right, fantastic. What that tells me is that we all share one thing in common. We look for opportunity, because that's what real estate ultimately is. It's an opportunity for us to be on one side or the other. And so when I got started in real estate in 2006, I came into a bad market. Really that's what I was told, but I just didn't know any different, right? When I came in in 2006, the market was falling apart, and to me it was just another day going to the office and figuring out how I was going to sell houses. I didn't know any difference. So I think about those days all the time, and I think about the people that I was selling houses to, who were buying houses from me, by the way, in Sharpstown for $50,000 to $55,000. Do you guys know how much those houses are worth right now? Just take a wild guess. Give me a random number. About 300 to 350. Sometimes you can get up to the fours in Sharpstown. And I remember these people buying these houses and me looking at the numbers, and I was like, man, I don't know what the hell they see in these things. These things are junk. And boom, 10, 15 years later, I see them offloading them and becoming millionaires. And it clicked. They saw an opportunity. And so should we. So I ask you, is this a good market or is this a bad market? And there's no wrong answer here, but I need to understand, how do you see it? Who wants to take a stab at it? It's a good market?
Market of opportunity.
It's a market of opportunity? Okay. Does anybody else think it might be different?
High interest.
Okay, absolutely. It's a high interest market. Is that good or bad?
Bad for selling to retail buyers.
Bad for selling? Yeah. It's bad for buying too. Some people are really scared to buy right now. Is it bad for some people? 10 to 30% of real estate agents going out of business. Approximately about the same amount of loan officers going out of business. Is it bad for some? Yeah. Is it good for others?
Sure.
So is it a bad market or is it a good market? It just is. It's a market. It's a new market. It's not the old market we had 6 months ago, when people could just say, hey, I want to buy a house and qualify for 3 to 4% and 3 to 5% down payment assistance and just go out and buy the greatest house ever, right? And we still had people that were waiting for the market. You guys ever meet somebody that's waiting for the market to be just right? Those are my favorite people. So let's talk a little bit more about what things change and how those things impact us. Now, there's a few things that are happening in today's market. You guys mentioned some of them already, but I want to bring some of them to your attention because they may have an impact on what you do and how you're going to deal with things. Does everybody know about the bombshell commission settlement lawsuits that are happening right now? Ooh, nice. If you've ever bought a house, do you remember paying a commission to your buyer's agent? Well, there is a national lawsuit with the National Association of Realtors and multiple big name brand brokerages who are being sued. And based on this lawsuit, the way that we practice real estate could change forever. You see, because if what the attorneys that are suing is right, if what they're saying is correct, then we have been practicing this wrong the whole time by making people pay a buyer's agent commission. And so what that means is that we're going to have to change the way that we play the game. We're going to have to change the way that we disclose our commissions. We're going to have to change the way that people pay them or choose to pay them or not to pay them and have a more free conversation on that. Whereas right now, maybe that's not the way the conversations are going. What about artificial intelligence? Has anybody had any experience in dealing with artificial intelligence so far? Who has a ChatGPT account? Oh, everybody. You guys are advanced. Notice not everybody raised their hand, though, and that's okay. I'm not going to make you guys wrong, but I will tell you that it's only a few months away before every loan officer is processing their files through an AI. In fact, we're already seeing companies going in that direction. You may actually not know in the next few months if it's a human being or if it's an AI that's asking you the right questions and guiding your decision-making process in the right direction to get you pre-qualified for the loan. It may not even be a human being until it's actually ready to be fully submitted. We're getting in that direction. And what does that mean for us who are buying? What does that mean for us who are investing? We talked a little bit about interest rates. We're at a 20-year high. That's scary. Just a few months ago, I got a quote for a 5.5% refinance on an investment property. Yesterday, I closed one at 7.75. And that's a good deal. That was a dang good deal. My loan officer looked at that and he was like, man, you better close on this real quick. We did. What's happening with taxes?
They're up.
Yes, especially for investors. Same thing with insurance. Now I love this excerpt here. It talks about how this investor's taxes went up by 54%. 54%, right? Like 1 year it's worth like $300,000. The next year it's worth $554,000. And of course, our government starts freaking out because guess what? Our government also invests in real estate. So they're like, wait a minute, we need to figure something out. And they go in there and they say, we're going to have to drop this whole new idea on cutting taxes, and we're going to put a cap on it at just 20%. Not that much, right? But what happens when your investment property's taxes go up by 20% and your insurance doubles? In California, some people's insurances have quadrupled or 10x'd. Some insurances have even told people they won't insure them. So this is a crazy changing market that we're having to get adjusted to, that we're having to figure out how we can be profitable. Isn't that the case? Now, you know who's not going to benefit from the tax cuts that the government is making?
Investors.
Well, we got a tiny little benefit, but for certain, renters are not going to benefit. They're simply not. None of what was proposed in those tax cuts are going to go towards people that are renting. In fact, it gets a little bit worse. Average rent in the U.S. has risen by 85% in just the last 20 years, folks. That's not my statistic. It's a national statistic. And one of the things that has really come up recently is the ratio between cost versus rent. Now, you notice this graph here. You see where it was really high? What do you think was happening around that year? Looks like maybe around 2006-ish, 2008-ish. You see that? And interestingly enough, every time it kind of spikes, you see a little something there, right? And then we get to 2020, and all we see is that it continues to climb. We get to about 2022, and something happens there. 2022, 2023, what do you think happened there? Interest rates. Interest rates. We had a huge spike in interest rates, and then everybody pulled back a little bit and was a little bit scared. But notice that little tail end right there? What's it doing? Right. Now, the higher that this goes, the more possibility that it makes more sense for consumers to rent versus buying. Let me repeat that. The higher this number is, the more it makes sense for consumers to rent versus buying. Does that make sense? Because would you want to rent, if you're a consumer, a house that would release to you for $2,500 but cost you $3,500? Most people would probably say, well, no, that doesn't make sense. I would rather just lease. It saves me $1,000 a month, right? And there are some other ways to look at that, but when you're on a fixed budget, that's generally the way you think. So let's talk about what that means for us here in Texas, because 45% of all households in Texas, here in Houston, in Harris County, not Texas, 45% are renters. Almost 40% in Texas. Guys, think about how big Texas is. Almost 40% of all folks rent. 30% or more of them, or excuse me, almost 50% of them are paying 30% or more of their income. Have you ever heard of anybody that's like, hey, I'm paying my rent on time, and I'm paying this amount, but I can't qualify for that amount if I go to try to buy a house? Has that ever happened? I get those people all the time. It's like, I pay $2,500 in rent, but when I go to try to qualify for a house, I qualify for $1,500. And it just doesn't make sense. But I'm paying my rent on time. That's what's starting to happen. That's where this market is driving people. That's where this market is driving the consumers. So ultimately, what does it mean for us? Because from what I understand, everybody here is an investor, wants to be an investor, or is going to be an investor. Shake your head if you agree with me. Yeah? Okay, good. Because you can also just rent if you really want. Totally up to you. But this is what I mean about understanding where the market is at and why we have to choose which side of this line that we want to be in. When it comes to cash flowing, here's where it gets really, really interesting. Investors are having a really hard time figuring out how to cash flow in this market. It's the hardest, the most difficult target to hit right now. You can buy a great deal, but how the heck are you going to cash flow it at 8%? With your interest rates going up, with your taxes going up, with your insurance going up, how are you going to make any money? If you go on all the forums, I shared a forum here, where that's literally what this guy asks, and then every person that's going in there and posting on it is saying the exact same thing. They're like, I don't see it. I don't see how anyone's going to make any money. But I want to share a quick case study with you guys. How am I doing on time?
You're doing good.
Okay, good. I'm going through here as fast as I can because I know we have some fantastic speakers today. This week I was really, really blessed to purchase a new property, and I wanted to share it with you guys. You guys want to learn about this one? Okay. First off, I want to share that I bought this house by attending one of our real estate events. That is a completely shameless plug, and I'm telling you guys that because I make money doing this, and you can too. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but see that number that's circled right there? You can't see it? It's okay, I'm going to share these slides with you if you're really, really nice to me and follow me on Instagram. $20,000 is what's circled there. That's what the wholesaler made for bringing me that deal. Here's the best part. As I was walking the house, I'm looking at it, and man, it's in great shape. Look, it already had granite countertops, and he left a bunch of stuff. The sellers left a bunch of stuff. It's a decent-looking house from the front. Over in Bear Creek, real good-looking house, great neighborhood. And he's asking $195 for the house, and I'm comping it, and I'm like, man, this thing's worth about $325. Doesn't really need that much work. I'm walking it, maybe needs a little bit of paint, some touch-ups here and there. And he's like, all right, well, do you like it? Yeah, I like it. Well, how much are you going to offer me? How much are you asking? $195? Okay, I'll take it. Well, aren't you going to make me an offer? No, I just want you to sell me the house. And he was baffled. He was blown away by that. We ended up doing the deal, and later I found out that he was making $20,000, and that's why he had a little room to play, right? He had a little room to move on there. But guys, if you buy a house at $195 that's worth $325 and doesn't need any work, you just buy the dang house. Now, it gets interesting because when I started running the numbers, you'll notice that I did a private money loan at $225. So I took a little money out on it, okay? And if you start working those numbers at 8% and try to cash flow it with taxes and insurance, my payment ends up being right around $2,500 a month. Now, market rent is $2,300 to $2,500. So in the best of cases, what can I do? Break even? Right? Now, I got to tell you something. Breaking even is all right. But I'm really more into making money. It just feels better, right? And so I thought about it, I didn't want to pass up on the deal just because I was going to break even. And I thought, is there a way to be creative on this? And I found a way where we can actually cash flow about $1,500 a month on the low end. So I want to share that with you guys today. Is that all right? You guys want to learn about that? All right, cool. All right, very nice. All right, so there are 3 creative cash flow ideas that will work in today's market that I am literally using or testing right now as we speak. And I'm all right with being y'all's guinea pig. I do this all the time. I try new things. I try new ideas and theories. I have a hostel in Houston, okay? Yes, who would have thought? And by the way, it's an awful cash flowing machine, awful. But now I know it didn't work, and now I'm going to try something else. I'm actually going to try the same strategy on that. So short-term rentals. Who here loves Airbnb? Great. You're going to love Airbnb for about a year, and then you're going to get tired of those 2 a.m. calls that say, my toilet is clogged, come unclog it. And you're like, geez, why? Why me? Okay, that's what happened to me. Now don't get me wrong, I still have some Airbnbs, most of which are cash flowing about 50% of what they used to cash flow 3 years ago. Chew on that. Right now, I'm happy if I can cash flow about $500 to $1,000 a month per Airbnb. It used to be a lot more than that. What happened in that time frame? What do you guys think happened? Huh? COVID happened, yeah. Low interest rates, a ton of people had time on their hands to make, some people got some free money, and they bought a lot of houses. You guys remember that part? Well, a lot of those went into the market on Airbnb. Okay, I know I got to move forward. All right. We got to keep going. All right. I promise you guys 4 golden nuggets. Hopefully, you guys have gotten 1 so far. Did everybody get one already? At least. I'm going to give you the tools to get there. First off, if you want to find good, solid Airbnb properties and understand and analyze the data, you want to go to rabu.com. That is one of my favorite websites right now. Number 2, those midterm rentals. We skipped that slide a little bit. Midterm rentals are coming up right now. People that are leasing 2 to 3 months, up to 6 months at a time. Less headache, not as much toilet unclogging at 2 a.m. It's a lot easier. And then it gets even better from there. That option number 3 I'm going to cover in just a minute. So furnishfinder.com, this is where you get nurses or people that are traveling and they just need just a couple months, all right? You're going to need padsplit.com. New company to Texas, but they've been around for a little while. They are killer right now. And I'll show you what they do in just a second. You're going to need to go to the right networking events. Another shameless plug. If you don't have ChatGPT, go ahead and download that. It's not going to go away. It's changing the way that we operate. And last but not least, you're going to need some amazing lending partners, guys, because there's no way that I could be doing what I'm doing right now if I didn't know the right people. So you're here right now to make those connections. The last property that I refinanced at 85% loan to value using a DSCR loan. DSCR loan. Everybody in here qualifies for a DSCR loan as long as you have good credit. It's a debt to service coverage ratio loan. Okay? Actually, the guy that did it for me is back there. Thank you so much, Francisco, for putting that together. Really appreciate it. Guys, that's how you do it. You buy as many assets as you can, as fast as you can, because rents are going to keep going up. Does everybody agree with that? Now, what happens if interest rates go down just slightly? Because some people are saying, hey, they're going to go down a little bit. Just wait it out. What's going to happen? More people are going to come onto the market. More people are going to buy, and then what's going to happen? And prices are going to go up. Now, would you want to have more properties? Would you want to have more assets in your portfolio when that happens? Yeah, you probably would. That's probably a good idea. Now, I need friends, so I'll pay you to be my friend. Here's how it works. I'll send you guys a free copy of my latest book, How to Sell Homes Fast for Top Dollar. You can't get the last physical copy, so I'll send one to you. And all you got to do is go on here, hit follow, and if you want the slides, I'll send them to you. It's got all the links. Everything you want from this presentation is absolutely free. In fact, I want to add some more last-minute freebies and make one last-minute shameless plug. If you're a real estate agent here in the room, Picket Realty is looking to grow. We want passionate people, and we want to be your business partner when it comes to leads, business, marketing, and investments. These are some freebies that we're going to provide to you guys just for attending today. So no questions asked. All you got to do is go on there into my Instagram and let me know that you want the slides and what email you want me to send the freebies to, and we'll take it from there. Thank you guys so much for giving me the opportunity to come up here and share with you guys. I hope you guys are inspired to go out there, get a loan with Flipco, with whoever, buy some houses. Let's do it.
Over to me and I'll send it off to y'all. Okay? Everybody that registered. So if you didn't register, then you won't get it. But you can register now. Okay. The master of market insight, Alan Hernandez, the CEO of Block and Hamper Appraisals and Asset Management, is your analytical guru and guide to the Investo market in real estate. He will provide insights, trends, and tactics to maximize your real estate investment. And he's coming, wait, oh, here you go. Yeah. That was GP, what is it called? ChatGPT. I'll send it over.
How do I turn this thing on?
It's on. Let me see.
Is it on? It's on the right. First button. Testing. Closer here. Testing. There you go. Testing. Okay, cool. Awesome, guys. Well, my name is Alan Hernandez, and I like to put together financial presentations. And so this one's going to dive in pretty deep. A lot of this can be really dry, so I apologize for those of you who don't like dry presentations, but I believe that data and the numbers tell a story. And I think that that story tells you what's happening right now and what's going to happen in the future. And so whenever you're looking at that story through the numbers, that's what you really have to dive deep into. And so while there's a lot of different things that you can look at, sometimes those dry things are the most important things. But let me start with who I am so you understand why she called me the, Master of the Market Insights. Man, I'm going to change my title to that. I like that. This is me on the left, obviously. This is my beautiful wife who I somehow convinced to marry me, so I must be a pretty convincing person. So I hope that today's presentation is convincing. I'm a certified residential real estate appraiser. I'm also a real estate broker, and I do a lot of active investments. Most of my investments now are in the commercial sector, multifamily. I also own a couple of RV parks. And so everything that I talk about are things that I'm applying every single day. It's not like I come in this room and I tell you one thing, and then I go and I do a different thing altogether. Whatever I'm talking about, that is what I'm doing. These are the same principles that I'm applying to my business. And so today, I really wanted to break it down. Last time I did one of these, you guys asked me for commercial. You said, well, give me some insights into commercial. And I said, well, that's like for a presentation for a whole nother day. So I'm going to try to go really fast today and give you the 100 years of monetary financial policy in 15 minutes that Elda's given me. So ready? Let's start the clock now. All right, let's go. Okay, guys, so what are we looking at here? This right here is your 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And the reason that I bring this up is because this is a big topic of conversation right now. Everyone keeps saying, my goodness, mortgages are so high, mortgages are so expensive. But I just urge everyone to take a second and look at this. This goes back all the way to 1970. From 1970 all the way through 2020, we are not anywhere near the market highs when it comes to interest rates. I lost that there. We're not anywhere near the market high when it comes to interest rates. I need a tech help. And so when people say that interest rates are extremely high, it's because most people are very short-sighted in the way that they think about things. Interest rates are only high when you compare them to what we were used to in the last 3 years. When you have a zero-rate interest rate environment, well, of course, a 6%, 7% is going to be a high mortgage rate. But historically, the rates from today are really not all that bad. The rates from today are actually pretty low compared to the historic average. And when I get my chart back up there, I'll show you what I mean. Do we have the chart? It's coming, guys. So the whole point of this is that everyone is afraid because everyone keeps saying, where are interest rates going? But the reality is that interest rates are something that moves up and down all the time. And we're nowhere near any of those historical peaks. And we don't have any evidence to show that we're going to be going very much further. Might they move a little bit? Well, yeah, of course they might move a little bit. But we're not going to reach 10%, 12%, 16%. We're pretty much going to be around 8%. And you can quote me on this. Last year I did a presentation, or at the beginning of this year, sorry, and I said at the end of this year, we'll be between 7 and 8%. And that's literally where we're going to be ending the year. These things are predictable. You look at these charts, you look at these graphs, and they're predictable. And so what are we looking at here now? Well, this is the doom and gloom that you keep hearing. My goodness, there's going to be a crash and everything has to crash. It's inevitable when you have a big rise in prices, things have to crash. Prices have to come down. And so we're looking at from 1970, and this little blip that you see here, this was the last Great Recession. And this is the crash from that Great Recession. And then this is what we did over the last 3 years. And what's really crazy about that is that when you look at this chart, is that is a massive, meteoric rise in prices that happened in the last 3 years. And go to the next slide. This is that same chart. Next slide. This is the same chart, but with a trend line. Now, there's a problem in this chart. There's a massive mathematical issue going on here, because according to this trend line, prices should be somewhere around here. Whether they're here or they're here, they're definitely not anywhere near where they should be. And so when people say there's got to be this massive crash, I'm going to tell you why it is almost impossible for there to be that massive crash. And I'm going to show you the correlation that this has to something else really important. Go to the next slide, Danny. So I don't know who's familiar with M2. Raise your hand if you know what M2 is. Okay, M2 is a monetary money supply. This is actual dollars that are in circulation, that are in play at any given time. And here's the reason why that housing supply that I mentioned earlier isn't going anywhere. If you look at this chart, this is how much money there is. And now this is a side-by-side with property values over the exact same time period. Notice anything familiar in that chart? Looks extremely similar, doesn't it? We've got the same rise, we've got the same bump, we've got the financial crisis here. Granted, it's not as big as what had happened over there, but if you look here, 2020, when they printed all of that money, those trillions of dollars that you keep hearing about, the $2.3 trillion that they printed into existence, the M2 money supply went up, housing prices went up. Why? Because households' number one investment is their primary residence. So when they get money comes into the system, the first thing that most people invest that money into is their primary residence. So you can see the M2 money supply follows the value of housing. They go together, they're correlated. I'm not saying that they control each other, but they're correlated, and you see it there on that chart. And so although the M2 supply is coming down, values of houses are coming down a little bit. Go to the next slide. But we have to look at not only the values themselves. And so this here is the Case-Shiller index. And this is where the doom and gloom really ends for the people who want to make an argument that there's going to be a meteoric crash coming. Because if you look at the Case-Shiller Index, and for those of you who don't know what the Case-Shiller Index is, this looks at same home sales within either a 10 or a 20-year period. This one here is the 20-year chart. So it's looking at how much more did a house sell for within a 20-year period. And that tells us a lot more about what's going on in the market, because distressed sales don't show up so much on there. These are resales of properties. And if you look, it declined. But where's it at now? It rebounded already. And actually, it's already surpassed the last peak. And so the Case-Shiller Index tells us the pricing of houses isn't going to keep going down very much more. Go to the next slide, Danny. This is the last HAR report. And so now we're talking about Houston specifically. And when you look at this HAR report, one of the things that you're going to see is that property sales are down. But remember, 2020 year, abnormal year. Total dollar volume down about the same, which you would expect the dollar volume to be down if the total property sales are down. The total active listings is up almost 14% from last year. And a lot of people think, oh my goodness, that's a bad thing. I'm telling you, that's a wonderful thing. That is a fantastic thing. Because what we experienced the last 3 years is called unsustainable. If the market had continued like that for even 1 or 2 more years, we would probably be looking at a meteoric crash. But the fact that we've got this stabilization happening is a really, really good thing. If you look at the single-family home sales, down 11%. But these are the ones that matter right here. You see your average sales price and your median sales price. They've adjusted a little bit. 2.2% is not a lot year over year, especially when we saw rises of 40% over the last 3 years. And then the other big one on there that's really important is a single-family months of inventory. Who knows how many months is considered a balanced market? She says 4. It's actually 6. 6 months is considered a balanced market. I tend to agree with you that 4 is a better metric. 6 is the official. But 4 is a better metric for Houston because we sell a lot. We're at 3.6. We are still in a seller's market. If your seller has a property and prices it right, it's going to sell. There's only 3.6 months of inventory. So even if the inventory continues to increase, all we're doing is getting back to a stable market. And we may go into a buyer's market for a little bit, where it's no longer a seller's market. We've been in seller's market for like 7 years now. It's okay for it to go the other way. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So what does this mean in terms of residential real estate investing? Click them through as I read them, Danny. Go ahead. Don't be a speculator. Right now is the worst time to speculate. Just because you love that area, this is the worst time to buy into those areas. Why? Those speculative areas are always the first to come down. And if you go and you look, and you pull up values right now in Northside, I'm going to praise her. I do this all day long. Northside, values are down. Edo, values are down. Independence Heights, values are down. You know where values are not down? West University. You know where values are not down? Katy, Clear Lake. Your established areas with good schools, those values are still going up. These drops in prices that you're seeing, those are the areas where the speculators are at. And that's why I'm saying, don't be a speculator if you're an investor right now. Next one, Danny. You want to buy single family, if you're buying single family, as a store of value, not for cash flow. So think of your properties that you're buying as a bank account. I'm putting this money away in a bank account, and I'm going to rent it out and have somebody else pay off my mortgage. And now, in the future, when I go to sell that property, somebody else paid for my gold bars. That's really the way that you want to look at single-family property, in my opinion. It's not, oh, I'm going to make $300 in cash flow, because the reality is, now is not a time to be looking at that. You want to look at this as a store of value. If it breaks even, it did good. And I'm not saying buy properties that break even. I'm saying if the market comes down and you have to lower your rent to a break even, then you're okay. But don't buy this and say, well, I own 10 properties, now I'm going to quit my job. That's a very, very bad decision in a market like right now. Next one. The homes are going to sell more slowly. We're not going to get those 10-day sales anymore, those 30-day sales that everyone was used to. Go back to 30 to 45 days, 30 to 60 days. We're not even at 90 days yet, guys. Don't be spoiled. I remember times when we would list a property and it would take 6 months to sell, and we'd be like, yeah, we got a contract in 6 months. Times change. Next one. Distressed homes aren't going to fly off the market like they were flying off. Now they're going to need those big discounts, and we're starting to see that again. You can actually buy houses. I saw a house the other day for under 100 grand. I was like, wow, that's like a Goldilocks. You couldn't find a house for less than 100 grand for a while. Next one. Buyers are going to have a lot more options. Why? Because there's more inventory. It's natural. So buyers get to be picky now. They get to choose. We're going into a buyer's market. Next one. If you're flipping, you better calculate for those longer hold times. You better say, I'm not going to get in and out of this in 3 months. This might take me 6 months. This might take me 9 months, depending on the rehab. And if the numbers don't work for you with that amount of holding costs, don't do the deal. Don't put yourself into a situation where you're going to be too tight as the market continues to tighten up. Next one. And prices are going to fluctuate with a flat trend probably over the next year to 2 years. So we're not going to see a lot of appreciation. Why? Because the Federal Reserve is continuing to pull money out of the money supply. So as they pull money out of the money supply, you're going to see the median home price across the United States coming down. Next one. Do I have time to go into commercial at all or not? 5 minutes? Okay, someone back there said, hell yeah. All right, commercial. Now we're in a completely different world. Why? Because you have to understand that values in single family, they come from supply and demand. Real simple principle. I have a house. It doesn't matter what it will rent for. If my neighbor wants it and they're willing to pay $1 million for that property, then it's worth $1 million. It's really that simple. In commercial, you're in a completely different world. Because now everything is based on supply and demand, but it's based on supply and demand. And what creates that demand is the amount of income that property can generate. Because that's what you're looking for. Commercial is not a store of value. This is where you can go in looking for cash flow. Because store of value happens in the residential single family space. This is the cash flow space. So as you can see here, this is a commercial price index, and it only goes back to 1998. But you can see commercial prices do this. Right now, commercial's down. Why? 2020, offices. You've got buildings like this. I guarantee you this building is probably 60% vacant. I hope the building owner's not in here. But that's the reality. Office space is hurting tremendously, and that's driving those prices down. But I'm going to show you something really cool that is a predictor, a real predicting tool for where commercial prices are going. Next slide. This right here is the bank prime loan rate since 1960. The prime loan rate is what the banks are able to borrow money at to lend on commercial property. So they can't give it to you at the prime rate. They usually charge you prime plus 1. Or, depending on the asset, maybe prime plus 2. This is a prime rate back to 1960. Go to the next slide. I went ahead and put them side by side and only did the same time frame, 1998 to present. And what you'll find is that the prime rate is inversely correlated with the value of commercial properties. Now, for those of you who are like, man, it's been years since I went to school, I have no idea what inversely correlated means, I'm going to do it for you. You ready? Go to the next one. We flip that chart over, and what do you see? That this follows this almost exactly. You've got that rise, you've got that dip, you've got the rise again, you have this dip, you have that rise, and now we're coming back down. And so what is this rate telling me? That's going to keep going down. Those values have to keep going down. And why is that? Well, it's because as the cost of borrowing money goes up, I need the return on that property to go up. And as I need the return on that property to go up, there's only two ways to do that. I either pay less for the property or I squeeze out more rent. But when I have buildings like this that are 60% vacant, I can't squeeze out more rent. So I have to go to the owner and say, hey, I know you wanted $1 million, but now I'm going to give you 800 because that's the price I have to buy it at to make returns that make sense for me on that kind of property. Go to the next one. I'm almost done. I'm getting really close. This here is insurance cost. Now, notice none of those bar graphs go down into the red. This is because insurance cost hardly ever goes down in the United States. This shows you that in 2020, most insurance renewals on commercial had rises of 22%. This past one was 4%. Go to the next slide, Danny. So what does that mean? Why did I show you that graph on the insurance? Click. One, the force of the interest rates hasn't been felt yet. Prices are still going to continue to go down because those rates have barely been going up. They went up really fast, and now we're going to start seeing the prices continue to go down. Next one. Cap rates are going to have to increase, and that's a whole nother class, but your cap rates are going to have to go up in order for you to get a better return so that you can actually service and cover your debt. Next one. Insurance rates are going up like crazy, and that's one of the things a lot of operators didn't account for. Is my insurance going up? What do I do when it goes up 22% in 1 year on a building like this? I'm already 60% vacant. Now my insurance is going up. Now my property taxes just went up too. All of a sudden, my value keeps going like this. And you look at a place like Greenway Plaza that had a $1.2 billion valuation prior to 2020, and they're at $600 million right now. 50% loss in value, but it's because of this. This is the reason why. Next one. Property taxes are increasing. Next one. Your net operating income is going to go down. And in the commercial world, everything is based on the net operating income. There is no demand for that property for somebody to go and live in it. No one is buying that as a residential homestead. No one is living in this tower and saying, I own the whole tower. That's not the reason people buy these. They buy it for the income. And so as those goes down, prices have to continue to come down. Two more. Lending is going to tighten, and the bottom line is on commercial. If you're doing commercial right now, you want to make sure, go ahead, Danny, give them the bottom line. Buy extra deep. You want to buy super duper cheap right now. Get away from the trends that everyone is doing and go back to being a really stingy investor because we don't know how long these high rates are going to last, and as long as they stay up, values will continue to go down. So be extra, extra stingy. Next one. This is it. Last slide. I promise. You can find me on Facebook. There's my Instagram. I have a YouTube channel where all we do is talk about commercial real estate. We break it down for you. We give you real case studies. I would love for you guys to follow my page. And there's a scan on there. It'll take you to my website, show you all the services that my company offers, shows you how to order an appraisal if you ever need one. And if you want a copy of this presentation, shoot me a message on Instagram and I'll send you a copy of this presentation. But the bottom line is, be prudent, be smart with your investments, and make sure that you're looking at your data to know how to spend your money. Thank you so much, guys, and I appreciate your time.
Our next class is going to be appraisal from you. Hard money lender Sydney Campbell, an account manager of Flipco Financial, is the go-to hard money lender. She will uncover the financing secrets that can accelerate your real estate ambition. Y'all doing good? You want a drink? That was really good. We're going to bring him more, and he's just going to have to do appraisal for us and teach us how to do it.
Lost in
Give us a class.
illusions, dreams and confusion. Oh yeah, it'll keep falling faster, straight for disaster.
Sydney is one of the best hard lenders in Houston, I want to say, because credit is not involved. So y'all want to listen to what she has to say. We're just waiting for her to put her mic on.
It's okay, I'll go without them.
Lost in illusions, dreams and confusion. Oh yeah, keep falling faster, straight for disaster.
Is this working? Oh, yep, okay. Maybe I need to move it a little bit higher. Hi, my name is Sydney. How are you guys? Are you guys like experienced investors? Who's done some flips? Me, not yet. Rentals? Wholesaling? How many people are agents? Okay. How many people are just interested in getting into real estate investing? Haven't done it before? Okay, sweet. Kind of got to gauge the room, figure out what's going on, right? We are having some technical difficulties with the slides, so I'm just going to push through this as best as I can. Everything that I'm going to cover, we have a term sheet template outside, so if you guys are interested in learning more, then definitely visit our table. So Flipco Financial is an asset-based hard money lender. We're actually funding in multiple states. We're truly asset-based in the sense that we're not really looking at the borrower, the investor themselves, more so the deal. So the way we underwrite our deals is we're looking at 3 sold comps that fit a certain criteria. And if we're able to find those comps, or if you guys are able to find those comps, then we're comfortable moving forward, as long as the total loan amount is under 75% of the after repair value. So our underwriting requirements are 75% LTARV. Flipco Financial only has 2 fees. That's our interest and origination. Outside of that, there's no other fees associated with our loans. Something else that's really cool about Flipco that makes it easy for anybody to get into investing and flipping in real estate is that we don't require any experience. So if you're brand new and you've never done it before, then we're going to treat you the same way we do as any other investor. We're welcoming, we'll show you the ropes and teach you how to get into the flipping game. We do not require appraisals, no inspections. The only time we need a survey is if you guys are adding square footage onto the property. We can fund in 48 hours, which makes it really easy for you guys to go out and negotiate and have those really appealing offers when you know you can close very fast. Our approval times are in 24 hours, and we have a minimal doc collection. So it makes it really easy for you guys to find a property, contract it, and move through that funding phase. My pitch is really short with Flipco and hard money, but did anybody have any questions about the flipping experience? Something else oh, go ahead. We're lending in Texas, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, both Carolinas, Kansas, Missouri, and we'll take a look at Colorado and Arizona. So actually, if there's any other states that I didn't mention that you guys are interested in, then always send your deals. We're happy to take a look and see where investors are really interested in. You know, we'll move forward with that. Something I will say, a lot of people have talked about the rates tonight, and a lot of people are also a little bit leery about getting into investing at this time, but I always say it's always a good time to invest. You just have to change up your strategy depending on the type of market that we're in. Someone touched on rental properties, and what's been coming up a lot with my investors that are in buy and hold is they're running into the issue of not being able to make as much as they were before with their rentals. Something I did want to offer you guys that I've learned from a mentor of mine is switching up the type of landlord that you are. So imagine you guys have a house and your rental income is $2,000 for one single family, right? Okay, you can switch your strategy with being a rental or landlord investor by partnering with airlines. You can partner with Delta, Emirates, any of those airlines out there if you're close to an airport, and their stewardess can come and stay at your place whenever they're in between their flights. Something else I've seen a lot of investors do is partner with the sober living. You can partner with foster homes. There's a lot of different resources you guys can use where you're getting paid per head. So imagine if you're able to put bunk beds in a room and you've got 4 in one room. That's your $2,000 for one room versus a whole house. So really want to encourage you guys to have multiple different investing strategies. You've got a ton of people that are very experienced in this room that you should be talking to about whatever it is you're interested in, in the real estate investing space. And then also, I want to shout out my mentor, Pace Morby. He's taught me creative finance. My end goal with real estate investing was to do a lot of buy and holds and have rental income to replace my 9 to 5. I thought I had to flip in order to get there, and now I'm realizing I can contract properties and get to my goal a lot faster with creative finance. So in these volatile or scary markets, being able to have different strategies investing is going to be crucial for you guys. It's going to allow you to have those different options and contract properties quicker because you're a more educated investor. So I just want to leave you guys with that. I'm really happy to see everybody come out on a Friday, especially Friday the 13th. But if you guys have any questions, we are happy to connect with you guys. There's a few people from my team here. Oh, look, my slides are up. Let's just breeze through those real quick. Okay. Okay, you can go to the next one. Have those been up for a minute? I feel like people have been waving, and I thought you were just saying hello. Just kidding. Okay, so asset-based lending, just to recap what I said about Flipco, no appraisal, no inspection. The only time we need a survey is if you guys are adding square footage onto the property. No credit checks at any time. So as you guys are shopping for hard money, a lot of hard money lenders will say that they have no minimum credit requirement. That means they're still doing a credit check. So if you want absolutely no credit check, Flipco is definitely the way to go. No experience required, as I said before. You can go to the next one. So loan to cost will lend 90% when the loan to ARV is under 75%. We require a 10% down payment. Next. Loan to ARV, so this is how you figure out how much we're willing to lend on your property. It's 75% LTARV. That's actually pretty high. If you guys shop around, you're gonna find 60 to 70. So this is meaning that we're lending you guys more money for your deal. Rehab reimbursements, we always cover 100% of the rehab. The way we do this, we have no draw fees. So the only fees that Flipco has is interest and origination. No inspectors are sent out for the draws. That was a really annoying thing that I went through when I was investing. I would pay a draw fee, $250 to my old lender. I would have to wait on them to schedule an inspector. They'd send them out. They'd send the inspection report back to the lender. I'd have to wait on approval. All the while I'm paying interest on their funds. We have a 72-hour turnaround time, so our draw days are Tuesdays and Fridays, and as long as you submit it in time for us to go through that 72 hours, then you'll have the funds wired back into your account. You can go to the next one. Pre-approval letters, if you guys are ready to go shopping, we're happy to offer the pre-approval letters. You just have to fill out a quote request, so if you guys visit flipco.info/SydneyFlips, you'll get a lot more information on our services, some guides and resources that I found handy. There's actually one that I used to interview hard money lenders before I started working for one. And I really like to have that as I'm shopping around trying to figure out what the best rates are, which are Flipco's, unbiasedly. Okay, next one. Application, you might want to click that one more time. It'll pop up. Oh, nope, okay, I lost it. So it's not popping up now, but like I said before, we're a minimal doc collection firm, so the only things we need for the application is your LLC docs, rehab budget, contract, photos of the property, and then the deal intake form, and then an ACH form as well. So pretty quick, it allows us to fund your deals in 48 hours without the hassle of going through the very long application process. This slide is supposed to summarize that we just don't have junk fees. It goes through, we're only asset-based, 24-hour funding, 48-hour funding, 24-hour approval time, no credit check, no appraisal, no inspection, some of the things I mentioned before. The picture that's on this slide is actually one of the postcards that we have on our table. So if you guys are interested in getting into real estate or interested in getting your deals financed with Flipco, then visit us in the back. You can pick up one of our term sheets and it'll give you more information. Thank you guys so much for your time.
this just means that we have to catch up to her, right? Sorry. She's very young and she already has a lot of investments, so now we just have to catch up to Sydney. But next we have Monica with Transamerica, and she's going to help you meet your retirement dream. She will share invaluable wisdom on securing your retirement as an investor in the U.S. Explorer financial strategies that pave the way to prosperous future.
Hey everyone. Just give me a minute here. Let me get this up.
Till I found you.
Lots of good information tonight, right?
Until I found you. I was no stranger to the darkness and the long nights, but I believe you were the light. And I know that I'm not perfect, but you don't mind. I see the love glow in your eyes. No, I can't lie. When you weren't by my side, I was losing my mind, losing my mind. Until I found you. I was lost until I found you. Until I found you. I was broken till I found you.
stopping. I need to escape, I need to breathe in. I feel at ease when you're around. I feel so free, I feel so. I remember the car rides, small fights, conversations all night. I never saw you as anything more than a friend, but now I see you in a new light. We're getting older, there's a sparkle in your eyes that wasn't there before. You give me butterflies, it makes me wonder if there could be something more. We were only kids when we first met. Now let's discover where we have been yet. I don't wanna wonder what could have been. trying to be a superhero. Just wanna be a superhero. Don't wanna let a good thing fall apart and fight with a broken heart. I'm trying to be a superhero. Just wanna be a superhero. Superhero. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Just wanna be a superhero. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. I don't wanna keep on living for if only I had a night more. I'm trying to be a superhero. Just wanna be a superhero. Don't wanna let a good thing fall apart and fight with a broken heart. I'm trying to be a superhero. Just wanna be a superhero. Superhero. Roots in a barren field hold me down. Pulled by a broken will to get out. Some telling lies to the living. I just think twice before they say. Speaking my mind to fight for change or run. Here is for the crazy one. All I want to see is to see what I want to be. To feel free when I'm running down the street. Live my life how I like to live. Not how it's meant to be. Wasting hours on the shelf all alone. Instead of saying we right.
Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, we finally got it fixed. So, sort of. Sort of, but let's get started with Monica.
Yeah, all right. Well, you know, it's Friday the 13th, so something had to happen, right? All right, good evening, everyone. I'm really fired up to be here tonight. I know we've had a lot of good speakers. You know, I'm here with my local agents as well, but we just want to take a couple minutes and tell you how we've been helping people in the community, you know, families like yours as well, you know, as they navigate and feel more confident into their financial futures here. So my name is Monica Hatchie. And I've been in this industry for a little while now, also real estate, as some of you might know. So
With White Picket.
that's right, with White Picket. So I'm really excited to talk a little bit from both sides here. So, you know, through working with a lot of, you know, other agents as well as other clients, it's one of those things that I discovered that, you know, people really need help when it comes to navigating things with their money. And so with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. So if we get, well, we're not there, but you know. Just to tell you a little, guys, how we can help you here, okay? So if any of you have, you know, yourself as well as any other clients, you know, that you can refer, we can really help you guys in these wealth accumulation strategies. You know, that's a little bit about what we do. But, you know, I would say our, we focus, you know, on those wealth retirement strategies as well as retirement planning, college planning, and Head Start planning for the little ones. But I would say our niche within that market is going to be that wealth accumulation. Okay. Well, and go down one more, maybe. It might be in the wrong order here. There we go. All right, so that's the niche that I was telling you about there. Okay. You know, so with that, we really help to reduce that impact that you might have in your retirement. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But here with our company, I strongly believe that we're disrupting the industry here, kind of modernizing it on how people look at financial planning as a whole. Okay. What separates us is, number one, that we really strive to take an educative and informative approach when we're talking to people here. So quick raise of hands, just a little flashback. Let me ask you, how many of you, as you were maybe in high school or growing up, were taught about personal finance? One of the very few here. Awesome, I'm glad you were. But, not me. And so I found out that for many people, that's a common thread there. So lots of question marks, lots of gray areas. You have financial advisors. A lot of times you sign a contract, they're investing for you, but they really don't take the time to teach you these things. So if you want to sit down with us or, any of your clients, if you refer, just know that our approach is going to be very informative and educational. Okay, so that's a little bit about us and what we do. We're going to talk about the 7 factors that influence money here. So if you go down to another. All right, and you can go all through them there. So, there are really 7 things that you really should consider as you start making your retirement here, right? These are going to be the 7 factors that can make and break you. So if you just keep clicking on through them, yep. As you continue to diversify your portfolios, all right? So we're going to briefly touch on all of these here. But what I want you to do is understand why financial literacy is so important, all right? This is why we take the time to educate ourselves on how money works. And if you click to the next one there, and the reason is because this is where we're headed. We're in that great shift towards personal responsibility, okay? So for many years, we had what was, the 3-legged stool here. This was a model of what that retirement would look like, in retirement income in the U.S. So click to the next one, please. All right, so is anyone here banking on Social Security when you retire? Oh, good luck with that. Well, as you can see here, go ahead and click one more, please. All right. It says here on their website, that it's actually scheduled to deplete by 2037. And actually, they just updated that to 2034. All right. Yeah, so realistically, we really can't depend on the government to help us in this retirement stage. All right. So click again. And another, please. One more. All right, so jumping on next, pensions. For a long time, pensions, that was the idea that you were going to have that guaranteed income or that guaranteed payout through your retirement. We don't have that anymore. As you can see, as of 2019, only 14 companies still offered pensions to their employees, and 6 of those have already announced that that pension will no longer be an option for them. Okay, so can't depend on the government, can't depend on companies here. I know most of us here are probably self-employed, so we weren't depending on companies for that retirement anyway, right? So what does that leave us with? So we'll go to the next. All right, skipped over one, go back. Well, just go back to, yeah, it's fine. Last one would have been personal savings, okay? So I really want you to ask yourself this question. Are we a country of spenders or are we a country of savers? Yeah, so ultimately, it's gonna be our responsibility to know that, and learn about saving for our futures, right? Because it's gonna be up to us to make sure that one day we retire. And so now we can move to the next slide. All right, so for many people, let's just say you come into a large sum of money, right? Could be a real estate investment, a large commission check, or an inheritance, okay? For a lot of people, where's the first place that you're gonna put your money? Click. Next slide, there you go, the bank, right? Typically it's thought of as, the most secure, safe, okay? And, might give you, we're gonna say, go back down. under 2% interest. And we're being very kind here, right? Because I think the last time I checked, the average interest rate on that was about 0.34%, something like that. So, 2% interest, we're being very kind. All right, so where else could we put this money? Next slide. Investments, right? So that's going to be, could be real estate for some of you, okay? Stocks, mutual funds, things like that. Now, typically, with the financial advisor, again, be a little generous here. You're probably going to get a 6% return on that, hopefully. And then last but not least, where else could you put your money? Next slide. Believe it or not, life insurance. It's a huge area where people put their money, okay? Did you know that the Bank of America and Walmart are some of the biggest investors in life insurance, okay? Disneyland and Stanford University were also funded through money in life insurance policies, all right? So just wanted to share that with you guys, all right? Next slide. So there's really 3 different places that you can put your money into, okay? And on top of that, there's 3 different ways in which it can grow, all right? So one side of the spectrum, we've got the fixed investments here. That's going to be your bank accounts, CDs, okay? Low risk, low reward, all right? Next is going to be your variable, okay? That's going to be your stocks, mutual funds. You can make a lot, but you can also lose a lot, all right? It's kind of like gambling, all right? So if you're going to go that route, you better know what you're doing. And then number 3, that's, it's kind of a beautiful halfway point in between, right? It's index financial planning. The idea that you're going to have that upside earning potential with that downside protection. So, when the market goes up, your money's going to go up, okay? But when the market goes down, it just locks in place, all right? And your investment stays the same. Now, many of you probably have money in a savings account, right? Yep. So you can probably check that box there, all right? You probably have money in an IRA or a 401k, something like that as well. So you can check that variable box, maybe, stocks, okay? So you can check that box. But let me ask you, how many are checking off that last box? Good for you. Yeah, probably very few, okay? So, it's very important to make sure that you're not putting all your eggs into one basket or one box, so to speak. So you got to make sure that you're diversifying your portfolio. Again, index financial planning, that's kind of a great way to kind of get those with that upside potential, that downside protection, and that happens to be one of our specialties here. All right, so next slide here. So why is it important to diversify your portfolio by offering defensive strategies with downside protection? Because I don't think many of you realize how risk can really hurt a lot more than you think. So if you gave me $100 today, all right, to invest in the market, and the market dropped down 50%, I just lost $50, okay? Now, if you told me to stay in the market, it's going to rebound, well, what % gain do you think that we're going to need to get back where we started? Anybody? Yeah, good. Well, a lot of people think 50%, but that's actually going to get us to 75, all right? So 100% gain is what's required, actually, to get back to that point. All right, so if we lose 50% in the market, we actually need 100% gain. So just keep that in mind. Taking a hit in the market can hurt a lot more than you think. All right, so we all remember the last recession in 2008, right? Believe it or not, there's still people that are trying to recover from that. So, they say there are only 2 things guaranteed in life, right? Death and taxes. Yep. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't pay our taxes, right? But what if we can reduce the impact of them as much as possible? So tax now, let's see, next slide, please. All right. Tax now, that's, you're getting tax money in, money out, right? Savings accounts, CDs, things like that. Tax later, and I'll actually break that down a little bit here, but that's tax deferred, okay? So you don't get taxed on that smaller seed that's going in. You're actually going to be taxed on that larger harvest that's going out. And so again, kind of our niche where we specialize here is that third option. It's called tax advantage, where it's a beautiful way to, complement or enhance your other assets by offering some strategies that can reduce the impact of taxes as much as possible. All right, so I know tax deferral is very popular here, right? So I want to talk a little bit about that, just because I think it's very important to understand how that works. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. All right, so this is how your 401ks, your IRAs, or even some mini real estate transactions are tax deferred. So let's just say you're making about $100,000 a year at a 30% tax bracket, okay? And so maybe you're contributing, you're gonna have to click through those slides. Yep, maybe you're contributing $500 a month into just say that 401k, right? Let's see, there you go. All right, so multiply that times 12. That's gonna be $6,000 a year, all right? And let's just say you're in that 30% tax bracket, all right? So that could be your state and your federal taxes there. All right, so if we continue along, we're gonna say that's gonna be about 30 years. Well, okay, so that's $1,800 times 30 years, because, life doesn't end at 30. And if you continue, that's gonna be $54,000 in taxes saved. All right, that's how your tax deferral works. So, let's assume the second that you start contributing that your money is actually gonna start growing. So that'll be in the accumulation phase there. So if we go ahead and click on that, you're gonna see that that $500 a month is $6,000 a year. And we're gonna be very generous, very, very generous, and say that you're getting 12% compound interest every year, all right? Now, quick side note, if you look it up, the average 401k averaged about 6%, all right? So again, that 12% is very generous. Okay, so if you continue, all right, so that's times 30 years, that's gonna be a little over 1.7 million, and if we round that up, that's gonna be 1.8 million, okay? So if anyone's trying to do the math, just know that you're gonna need a compound calculator, all right? Okay, now going on to distribution phase, all right. So, we're in the distribution phase here in life. Let's just say you're past 59 and a half, all right? You're at that retirement stage, and now we're gonna start pulling away our money, okay? So now we have to pay those taxes, all right? So let's go ahead and take that 1.8 million, and we're not gonna pull that all out at once, all right? Let's just say we're taking out 6% a year, and so that's gonna be $108,000 a year in distribution. Not too bad for retirement income, okay? All right, don't click yet. All right, now, really quickly, I wanna ask you guys, by the time you retire, let's just say 20, 30, 40 years from now, all right, do you think taxes are gonna go up, go down, or stay the same? Yeah, well, yeah, I don't have a crystal ball, but if history has shown us anything, it's been on that continuous trajectory going up. But let's just say that they're gonna stay the same, okay? So go ahead and click. You'll see we're at that 30% tax bracket. All right, and what's 30% of 108,000? That's $32,400 a year. Okay, that's in taxes paid. All right, but you're only 60. So, you probably still have another 30 years in retirement, right? So we're gonna go ahead and, there we go, times that 30 years, and that's almost $1 million in taxes paid. All right, so that's how tax deferral works. You're not paying that $54,000 going in, but you now have to pay that $972,000 going out. All right, so this is where, we specialize here in that beautiful way where you can actually pay that $54,000 going in and never have to pay that $972,000 going out. And that's what we help our clients do here, okay? Reducing that impact of taxes in retirement. All right, so if you go to the next slide, this is our, well, maybe not. Yep, so that's my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me or any of our team of agents here, and we'd be happy to talk to you about some of the strategies that we can offer you here.
Who wants life insurance now?
All I wanna leave my home forever. Tell my mom and dad that I will never come back here again. Come back here again. My soul hurts about the best I live.
Yeah? Okay, I'm on. Ernie Garcia from the Law of Ernie Garcia PLLC will be your legal guide. His expertise include evictions, HOA and tax disputes, and deeds and leases. We will learn about long-term investing and crucial aspects to consider as landlord in ever-evolving legal world.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate the fact that there were no boos when the attorney came up to the front. I get it. There's a bit of animosity sometimes. People don't think too favorably about attorneys. And landlords too, and that's unfortunate. But, and that's because there's a wide range between what makes a good attorney and what makes a bad attorney. A bad attorney, you might have some legal problem that goes on for months or years even. With a good attorney, it goes even longer. And man, we make a lot of money doing that. But, it's about, and that was a joke, I'm not sure everybody got that. It's so late, and I'm like, just move it along. We had a lot of wine. So what I'm going to talk about is the intersection between the law and your investment property. So whether you are an investor who owns and holds real property and leases it to other people, or whether you are an agent who sells property to people who hold property and lease it to others, it's important for you to know where these lines are. And one analogy that I think fits perfectly with this is that of marriage. You see, when we're landlords, the relationship between a landlord and their tenant is very similar to a marriage. And some of them last for a very long time and they're very happy, and some of them end quickly, right? Some relationships are all over the place. I know Alan Hernandez likes one house with multiple tenants. We're not going to judge. People, different strokes for different folks, right? But it works, right? So if you know going in how your deal is going to work, you're likelier to make money doing it. And that's what it's all about. If you can't figure out how to make money, you're just not doing it right. And today we're going to talk about the kinds of things that make money and the kinds of things that lose money. So when we start off with a landlord-tenant venture, it's important, just like with a marriage, that you have a prenup, right? For landlords and tenants, that is your lease. And many, many times, landlords go in, have no idea what that lease says. They sometimes buy property and say, well, mine came equipped with a lease. Ain't I lucky? I purchased property, it already had a tenant in place, and the previous landlord handed me their lease. And what they don't realize is sometimes this is a tinderbox. It's all sorts of problems that have just been passed from them over to you. If you're not using a rock-solid lease that you know, that you understand, then you've got a big problem right at the start. If you're purchasing property and there are no tenants and you're going out and seeking tenants, let me tell you, one lease can be the difference between a nightmare tenant and the best tenant on the planet. But if you don't know what makes that difference, you're likely to pick the lease that ain't gonna do the right job, and you're gonna create your own nightmare situation, all of which can be avoided if you start off with a rock solid lease. If you don't know what that looks like, you gotta find somebody who does. You might look into a landlord attorney. Speaking of which, I've got a YouTube channel, and you might have seen, if you're into that sort of thing, I stay up late at night and watch landlord videos all the time. And so if you're ever on YouTube, look me up. I'm Ernie Garcia, landlord attorney. Type in those 4 words, and my face is gonna pop up all over the place. Google it, TikTok it, YouTube it, Instagram it, you're gonna find me. And on YouTube, I'll have about 375 videos out there on all sorts of topics that are going to make you money. Among those is this idea of what makes a great lease. Because if you can't start off with a good lease, you and your tenant kind of don't know where this thing is going, right? And so by establishing for the tenant very, very clearly what your expectations are, not just for the money, the rent is only a small part of that agreement. How are they supposed to treat the property? What happens when a repair is required? What happens if that rent is 5 days late or 5 months late? Have you thought about this? And that's the next phase. Just like with any marriage, problems are inevitable. And it's you go in thinking, all I do is sign the lease, hand over the keys, and I walk away, and the money just rolls into the account. Sorry, that ain't the way it works. Alan talked about it earlier with those Airbnb tenants calling in the middle of the night. If you've got multiple rentals, you can guarantee you're likely going to get a call on Thanksgiving, right? Because they're there, and when something goes wrong and grandma needs to go to the toilet and she can't, I guarantee you're getting a call and you're getting yelled at, and your Thanksgiving is going to be interrupted. But if you've got a plan already in place for those exact situations, which are very predictable, you won't have to worry as much, and you won't have to run as much, and you won't have as many of your holidays ruined when things inevitably go wrong. So what kinds of ways can we prepare for trouble? One of them we just heard about, insurance, right? You don't think about it often, but insurance is one of those things that landlords get wrong all the time, especially if they don't know how insurance works. They might, for example, say, you know, I'm gonna buy that house, and then I'm gonna move out of this house, and I'm gonna rent this house and make me some cheddar cheese. And what they never do is change the insurance policy. What they own here is a home with homeowners insurance. But they ain't living in that home anymore. They have renters, different liabilities, different sorts of risks. And when things go wrong, guess what that insurer is going to say when you file your claim? Denied. And now you have to deal with trouble that could have been prevented with an adequate insurance policy. What else can you do? Well, you can anticipate that repairs are going to be needed. Even a brand new house breaks from time to time. So if you're not storing away some of that cash flow, right? If you're taking it in and going to the club because you got all this extra money lying around, you are not being wise with your investment. You have to designate some amount of the money coming in every month specifically for repairs. Yes, you're cutting away some for taxes and for insurance and for your mortgage payment, but if you're not considering repairs, you're already one step back. and I guarantee repairs are going to happen, and if you don't have the funds for them, you're going to dig out of your own pocket, and it's going to hurt, or you're going to cut corners, and it's going to hurt much more later. Also with repairs, before you need them, go and find the right people who can accomplish these repairs. That's another one where landlords get themselves in all sorts of trouble because they rush, because they have to rush. And if you're at a point where you're making a quick decision on the fly, you're likelier to make a bad one. But if you have chosen ahead of time, probably from more seasoned landlords who know a guy and know a guy and know a guy, and you've got a list, when it comes to it, you are ready. Again, inevitable things that happen all the time when you're well prepared for them don't hit quite as hard. So the problems happen. Some of them involve your interaction with the tenant, right? So do you have a plan in place when your tenant sets fire to the kitchen? Do you have a plan in place when your tenant left a window open and it rained right into the house, and now you've got $1,500 worth of damage? What do you do with that tenant? How do you respond? Who's responsible for those repairs? Well, what the law says is and your lease should say this, if the tenant is 100% responsible and this does not result from ordinary use or normal wear and tear, they're on the hook for those costs. And if your lease, and if you're using a good lease, it has this, if your lease has an application of funds clause, you can actually pool those repair funds from the subsequent month's rent. Say, thanks for paying that bill I sent you earlier, much appreciated, but you still owe rent. And some of you are like, oh, there's no way that's shady lawyer. It's perfectly legal, I guarantee it. And because they signed the lease, they're subject to this very thing. They owe the money, you gave them notice, they gave you money, and you applied it to their debt. The fact that they didn't pay the full amount of the debt they lawfully owe is not your problem, nor should you make it your problem. It's theirs. And the way you make money is by enforcing the terms of a good lease. You lose money when you don't know how to do that, or if you do, but you're too afraid because you don't want to be mean. Fine, but remember, it all comes with a cost. And if you're willing to pay their bills for them, you're not ready to be a landlord. Pure and simple. Sorry, I can be harsh. Okay, so very much like a marriage, sometimes these things end up in courts because it comes to a point that whatever the problems were, you couldn't reconcile them. And many times landlords can go to these courts and handle matters on their own. But I want to give you some insight about tenants. They are smart, with a capital SM. They know much more about landlord-tenant law than you have given them credit for. Many times, I have clients come into my office and say, Garcia, I don't know how this happened. I've been doing this for 20 years. And she kept telling me, well, you just take me to court. I'll see you in court. I want to present my case to the judge, and I know my rights. And Garcia, I don't know what to do. I've been waiting 4 months for the rent. That's already a problem, right? That's a landlord who doesn't know their rights, doesn't know how to stand on their lease, and doesn't know how to use the law in their favor. They're losing money month after month after month. Instead, a good landlord knows, I sometimes have to use the court to end a relationship that just doesn't work. It's unfortunate. Sometimes marriages were never meant to be. And it's important to know how those marriages end. If you don't know how to do this on your own, it's important to find somebody who can lead you down the path, help you dissolve that relationship that no longer works, because I guarantee you, the eviction process can be long, sticky, and painful unless you know how to navigate it well. Just like all of these processes, if you're going in blindfold, I guarantee you're going to trip and fall. Have somebody with you. It's not shameful to ask for help, whether it's from a fellow landlord, whether it's from a rock-solid group of realtors, or whether it's from some scummy landlord attorney. The help is out there. It's out there and it's for you, and when you grab onto it and learn from it, I guarantee you will make money. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you giving me your time. I've got cards in the back. If you want more information from me, I'm happy to talk to you. Thank you so much.
And he's bilingual. He's also bilingual. Yes. Ryu. Okay, I know him as Leo. Okay, Leo, he is a credit specialist, and he came to our office to do a presentation about credit repair. Awesome presentation, but he didn't finish, so we brought him back. He is actually going to be teaching us how to obtain $250,000 in business credit line at 0% for 12 to 24 months, and he will guide us by sharing what bank underwriters look for in loan applications to get high limits. Yeah. You got it?
So, yep.
Yep, okay.
Hello? You guys hear me? Yeah. Good? All right. All right, so I'm just going to get straight to the point because there's a lot of information. Hopefully you'll retain it. If not, what I preach. So I have an 830 credit score with all 3 credit bureaus. I have 55 credit cards, all under my name. One credit card has a $250,000 limit on it. So do the math. So $250,000 is very attainable, okay? And I also have a construction company, and we were awarded the top management company of 2023, and we just opened in 2022. And I was able to do that by leveraging credit.
Awesome.
All right, so let me get straight to it. Okay, so I just want to show like one idea, with that capital. If you're going to go with hard money lending, maybe Flipco, doesn't matter who it is, or even a regular lender, basically it's 2 things, right? One is they're going to give you 70 to 80% of the value of the property, and then you have to come up with the other 20 to 30%. So how do you close that gap to get 100% funded on your property? Times 3. Well, you can apply for 0% funding, that's 12 months. You can use that funding to cover that 20% instead of using your own hard money. And that's basically credit lines or business lines of credit at 0%. So you'll be able to get the 70 to 80% from your hard money lender, and the 20 to 30% that they want from you, you can get it from credit capital, right? Capital from credit. Now, if it takes you 4 months to flip the house, how many times can you do this? You can do this three to 4 times in a year. So off of this same capital, you can do this 3 to 4 times a year. So for the entire year, you just flip 3 to 4 properties without any of your own money. Okay? And then you just repeat the process. So that's just one idea. Or, if you're getting $250,000 at 0%, you can literally fund an entire property all through credit and get it paid off in those 12 months, right? Or if you need additional funding, maybe you need material, you're doing some rehab work, 0% funding is your way to go. Okay, so now there's different types of loans. So when you're going after business credit, business lines of credit, I call it an 80-20 rule. So whether you're trying to get capital on the personal side or the business side, your personal credit score always needs to be on point. 80% of it is always going to be based on your personal credit. 20% or less is going to be based on the business side. And this is the crazy thing, is that you could have 0 business credit. As long as your personal credit is good, you can get approved for $250,000 in business funding. But if you have bad personal credit and you're building this great business credit, you'll still get denied. So the primary thing is to have your personal credit on point. So I was able to apply for about 20 credit cards, 20 business lines of credit with having 0 business credit. So for me, it's a myth that building your business credit is what you need to get business capital, but you don't. It's all based on your personal credit. Okay, so there's different types of funding, right? Credit cards, 0% APR for 12 to 24 months. And then you have these different type of loans. You have no-doc loans, which basically means it requires no documents to get approved for these business loans or business lines of credit. I got approved in Connecticut. I got approved in Connecticut for a local bank in Connecticut for $150,000 business line of credit with no documents, right? And that's based on, again, that's based on your personal credit score. 80% of it's based on your personal credit score. So that's no-doc loans. Low-doc loans requires 1 to 3 documents. So maybe bank statements, 1-year tax return, or maybe some pay stubs, right? Just a couple of documents where you can get more funding. And then, the maximum amount of funding is if you do a full doc loan where you give them everything, right? Everything you have. And then the last option is triple dipping, okay? Triple dipping. So from one bank, you can get $100,000 to $150,000 if you triple dip. So what does that mean? When you're going to a bank, you're applying for a credit card, maybe you get approved for a $50,000 limit, or let's say $25,000 limit, 0%. Now, at the same time, you can apply for a no-doc loan and a business line of credit. So you can apply for 3 different products from that one bank. And if you're averaging $50 approval limits times 3 different products, you can get $150,000 or maybe even $100,000. And that's one inquiry. So if you guys are worried about inquiries, if you triple dip, it's only 1 inquiry. They're going to use that 1 inquiry for those 3 different applications. Woo! All right. Okay, so I'm going to give you some more detailed information here. This is how you can apply for 5 credit cards and only get 1 inquiry, and this can get you anywhere between $125,000 to $250,000, 0% interest. Chase Bank, when you apply for Chase Bank, you can get anywhere between $25,000 to $50,000 at 0% for 12 months. They only pull from Equifax. They only pull from 1 credit bureau. U.S. Bank only pulls from TransUnion. Bank of America only pulls from Experian. So when you apply for those 3 banks, you're technically only getting 1 inquiry, right? American Express, they do soft pulls. General Motors, GM, also does soft pulls. So you can apply for all 5 of these cards today, the same day, and your probability of getting approved would be better than if you spaced it out week after week. So that's just 5 credit cards, 0%, and that's the range that you can get it for.
Would these require you to have an LLC?
You can do it as a sole proprietor. So you can apply for business credit cards without technically having a business too. You can apply as a sole proprietor. You can use your you can use your SSN as your EIN if you want to go that route. But it's better to have an LLC or a corporation because you can get bigger limits, you can get more funding.
Would that be accepted as a DBA also?
DBAs, they can work too, but you'll have better odds with sole prop. So like my wife, she doesn't have a business, and we applied for 2 Chase credit cards, only as a sole prop, only using her SSN. She got approved for 2 $15,000 limits, and she doesn't have a business. All right, now I'm going to give you some more. I'm going to give you some more sauce, right? Some more credit sauce. Here's 10 banks, okay, that offer 0% interest for 24 months. okay? So you can apply for all 10 of these banks, and maybe you get approved, let's say you get approved for 5 out of the 10. Well, guess what? It's 2 years of no interest. I mean, how much can you flip with 2 years of no interest, right? I'll give you some more. Just in the state of Texas, you have 799 banks. So imagine if you're double dipping and triple dipping just in the state of Texas, right? These are 20 banks, local banks in Harris County right here. Out of 150, I think there's 150 local banks in Harris County. Okay, now this is what's really key too, like I mentioned, it's about your personal score, right? So you want to have at least a 720 credit score, okay? And I'm going to tell you what the difference is between having a 700 score and an 800 score when it comes to funding. But this is what you want to reach, okay? Your credit usage needs to be between, sorry, this needs to change, 0, anywhere between 1 to 30%. I put 15, but it should be 30%. Your average credit age should be above 2 years. The number of accounts you should have on your report is 4 or more. You should have no more than 3 inquiries on your credit. Now, if you want to go and get an 800 credit score, your credit usage needs to be between 1 to 5%. Average age is above 5 years. You want to have 7 or more accounts and less than 3 inquiries. So like, for example, to have a perfect 850 score, you have to have over 20 accounts. You have to have over 20 accounts to have a perfect 850 score. So a lot of people think that having too many accounts hurts your credit, but actually that's what you need to get a perfect credit score. And now the difference, okay, this is the crazy thing. And how do I know this? Because I have an 830 credit score, right? And here's my proof. The difference when you're going after funding with a 700 score or an 800 score, when you're at an 800 and above credit score, the higher your score, the less documents they ask for. So if you want to go after those no-doc loans, if you have an 800 plus credit score, the odds of them asking you for documents is very little. But they'll basically just go based off your credit score. So another story is a good friend of mine. He's in the 800 club as well. He got an apartment in River Oaks, that River Oaks apartment complex, a luxury apartment complex. He just showed his credit report, or his credit score, and they approved him without showing any documents. All right, so when you're applying for credit cards, these are kind of the things that they look at. Your credit score, 720 plus. Income, it's either stated income, projected income, or household income. What does that mean? So what you state on the application is what they go by. Projected income, maybe you got a second job, a third job, maybe you got a raise at your current job. That's your projected income for the year. Household income, if you have roommates or you're living with others, you can put in a household income. But you just don't want to go over, you don't want to overdo it, okay? Don't go over 300,000. Lastly is your history, right? Your credit history debunks your credit mystery. The more negative items you have, the lower your approval odds are, okay? If you want to get higher limits, you got to have accounts, credit card accounts that have high limits already reported in your credit. So if you have a credit card, like 3 credit cards, and your highest limit is $1,000, a $1,000 credit limit, most likely the next bank is going to approve you for a $1,000 limit. But if you add a trade line, it's basically adding yourself to someone else's credit card as an authorized user. Maybe that person has a $30,000 limit. If you add your name to that card with a $30,000 limit, it's going to get reported to your credit. Now, when the banks check your history, they see you have a $30,000 limit. Most likely, they'll approve you for a $30,000 limit. Am I good? Okay. Okay, now this is what underwriters look at, okay? When you're applying for business credit, loans, or lines of credit, you need to have physical and digital presence. So you need to have a business website, which you can get free with Google. So if you have a professional Google account, they give you a free website. Now, with the phone number, the whole goal of this is you want to look like a big business. Okay, so when the underwriter Googles you and you have your address as your residential address, you look like a small business right off the bat. But if your address is a virtual address like Regis, a 20-story building, when they Google you and they see a 20-story building, who are they going to think is a smaller or bigger business, right? So you want to have that image. Phone number, an 800 number, right? Big corporations have 800 numbers. So you can use a local number, but if you want to look bigger, you want to have an 800 number. And then you can relay that, redirect it to your mobile number. Google reviews, that's very important. It's very easy to get. You want to be, your business also wants to show up on Google Maps, right? So when they Google you, they want to see if you show up on Google Maps. 411, BBB, it's very easy to be accredited. You just pay for the service, and now you're accredited with the BBB. So they're going to look at all these things, right? They want to make sure you're legit, that you're Googleable, that you have an online physical presence, and they also want to see how big or how small you are. So by adding all these, you're covering your grounds when the underwriter does their research on you and your business. Okay, so kind of going back to these 5 credit cards, right? So if you want to apply for these 5 credit cards today, and you want to do it at the same time, the reason why you want to apply for all 5 at the same time is because when that application goes through, if you do it at the same time, all that information is being submitted basically simultaneously. So it's not getting recorded and reported to the credit bureaus, to the other banks. They cannot see that you applied for multiple accounts. Because if you're doing it at the same time, the information is processing too fast. I don't know why it's stuck on here. Okay, so basically the way you do it, right, is you're going to have 5 separate browsers. You have like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Firefox, Opera, 5 separate browsers in incognito mode, okay? And on each browser, you're going to apply for each credit card or bank. And so you're going to fill out the application for all of those credit card applications or loan applications on 5 separate browsers all the way until it's completely filled out. But do not click on the submit button until they're all completely filled out. Once they're completely filled out, boom, 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 right? Then that's how you apply for 5 at the same time. You can kind of see it, okay? Yeah. So, yeah, exactly, right? All this information is going so fast, it's like it doesn't register. That's like a perfect example, right? There you go. So that's how you do it. And you're going to get better results doing it this way because, again, they're not going to be able to see that you applied for Chase or American Express or Wells Fargo or Bank of America. And that's why you want to do it at the same time. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. And then this is kind of the next level stuff. You can do a bigger funding process. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can apply to 5 banks at one time. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you can remove your inquiries. So every other day you can apply for 5 banks, and then every other day you can remove your inquiries, and it looks like you never applied for a bank. So because when you apply for business credit cards, loans, and lines of credit, they do not report to your personal credit. So when you apply for these banks, they cannot see those banks that you applied for because it doesn't get reported. So when you go to the next 5 banks and they check your credit, it doesn't look like you applied for any bank. So every time it looks like you're applying to the bank for the first time. And you can do this in a big sequence. Okay, that's it.
You kept telling me that I am dead to you. You always find ways around me leaving, but now I have found my way. So get the fuck out of my head. If I can fall in love, then I'll make my way back to you. I'll be so desperate for you, but I don't want that, no. If I can make it out, then I'll make sure to call you, tell you that I'm not for you. Lost in my mind right now.
Thank you so much for showing up and not going to that Halloween party. I really, really appreciate this. This started off as an idea a year ago for me, for my investors, and it was just gonna be a little get-together to educate some of my investors, and then we made it big. Then we decided to offer it to our agents and our investors as well, because we have to be educated in order for our investors to be successful. But we also have to be educated to be a successful agent. So I also wanted to share, we have a rally coming up in November 9th. And so you've got to register. It's going to be a really good event. It's actually at a brewery. And we're having, this time it's going to be all about women power. And these girls that have, these girls that have actually been very, very successful, not only as real estate agents, but as investors as well. So thank you so much again for showing up, Alan.
Guys, we just want to make sure that you guys know that we are working really diligently to bring more and more events like this. So if you haven't already followed us on social media or checked us out on Eventbrite, that's really the best place to find all of our events. We are looking for amazing speakers to connect with. We're looking for ways to bring value to the community. So if you have any questions on any of that, come up here, talk to Elda and I. Make sure you give all of the speakers here a big shout out on social media. That's how we can contribute back to everyone that's put time into bringing this valuable information to you. And if there's anything we can do to help your businesses grow, that's what White Picket wants to do. We want to be your real estate partner.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So what's the point of falling in love? What's the point if I can't have you? You couldn't catch me on the worst day. I'm really mad at myself. I'm mad at nobody else but me. 'Cause I can't